Hello plant friends, welcome back for another episode. My name is Jimmy, I'm a doctor and tropical plant hobbyist in LA, and this channel is about plants. So I ask you, what would you trade for a Monstera Obliqua? And also, what would you trade away a Monstera Obliqua for? Well, one of these trades happened. I consider it the trade of the weekend, and this happened at the International Aroid show basically last weekend, September 2019. And Alejandro traded his Monstera Obliqua for Oscar's Variegated Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma. For those of you who've never heard of a variegated Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma, I don't blame you. It seems like Oscar has the only one known or available. At least I asked him about it. He said that, he's the only one on Instagram that has it. He hasn't seen or heard of, anyone else who has one. So, what they say, if it's not on Instagram, it doesn't exist. So Oscar is Plant That Plant on Instagram. Follow him. It seems like he has some ridiculous stuff. Super nice guy, and you can probably tell because, he was holding the Obliqua and I was just going around touching all the leaves for several minutes, and he was kind enough to let me do it and film. So, super nice guy, and, please give him a follow if you're not following him already. Alejandro was the one who traded Oscar the Obliqua, and so Alejandro received the variegated Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma. Alejandro, unfortunately, is not on Instagram. I met him on Facebook. We chatted a few times. It was a pleasure to finally meet him in real life. He has a ridiculous collection. I mean, honestly, do you know of anyone who has an Obliqua for trade that doesn't have a ridiculous collection? I try to film Monstera Obliqua every time I can, so I can tell you that, I really wasn't impressed with the plant on pictures, and it really wasn't on my wish list or even my interest list until I actually saw it in real life. I think there's a certain elegance to it that is hard to capture on pictures, and it's also, there's, a certain tactile feel to it that, again, is very hard to capture on pictures and even on film. I believe that everyone who's seen it in real life kind of can appreciate how special it is. Unfortunately, it's just not that common, so you can't see it in real life all that often, and pictures really don't do it justice. I don't think video does it justice either, but that's the best that we have, so I'm going to share the footage that I have.
Yeah. Nice.
You see, I use the same mix. There's a lot of charcoal here.
Yeah.
Some orchid make orchid bark and
It's a lot of charcoal.
a lot.
Yeah.
I
You work
keep them outside, so they get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And the charcoal absorbs all the impurities, and you see how healthy it looks.
Yeah.
I've seen some Obliqua, they look like crap.
Yeah.
It looks like it's dried, but it's not that dry at all.
No.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
And he just came to the US just for that plant.
I'm so excited.
It's real people don't appreciate how good this plant looks in person. Obviously, we were at the show, and there were tons and tons of people, around, so the noise level was high. But, we had a good discussion about the soil composition. So Alejandro lives in Florida, and all of his plants are actually outdoors. So he says that he actually has a lot of rain. So he plants a lot of his plants in almost all charcoal. I try to capture some footage, but, it's predominantly, I would say, 75% charcoal mixed with probably some orchid mix. I don't think there's any soil in there at all. And he says that he uses this mixture, and it's worked really well for him because outdoors in Florida, there's a lot of humidity and also a lot of frequent rainfall, so he wants something really well draining. The row of pots is actually to hold the runner. Obliqua and some other Monsteras will give off runners, which basically is, you know, like a stem with just like a series of nodes. And what Alejandro did was that he just lined up the pots and then he just placed the runners on it, and then he has some chunks of moss on top to help facilitate the nodes into rooting. And I talked to him and he says that he prefers to do it this method because it grows faster. Instead of just chopping up the runner into individual nodes, he thinks that, or he's in his experience, the nodes root and develop leaves faster when they're still attached to the main mother plant. I'm also going to include this extra footage I've gotten from Jake's place. Jake is keepyourplantson_LA on Instagram. Amazing guy, very humble, very passionate about the hobby, and he also has, you know, amazing plants. And I'm gonna plan to go back to his place and film much more of his collection. But this was just some spare footage that I got, so, you know, why waste spare or extra Obliqua footage, right?
So there's the Obliqua.
This is insane, man. Oh my god. Yours looks really good.
Yeah, it's coming along nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit thicker. The leaves are a bit thicker. Not even talking about the holes. I'm talking about the
leaves themselves.
The thickness of the leaves is a lot thicker than I expected. Yeah, jeez.
I wasn't that excited about it when it was just these.
Uh-huh.
But once it started putting out these, I'm like, oh, I get it now. It's fucking cool.
The leaves are a lot thicker and more hardy or more robust than I initially thought. I thought that they would just be flimsy and be like tissue paper that, you know, you can just like flick, or well don't flick it, you know, that you can just, you know, blow and it'll rip or something. I know that, you know, at first glance the Monstera Obliqua can look a lot like the Monstera Addisonii. I think that it's much clearer in real life. I think that if you had a side-to-side comparison, you can tell by the ridges along the edges of the Obliqua, the texture of the leaves, the amount of holes to leaf mass. I think it's quite different. You know, all those features in the Obliqua really add up and make it a very, you know, particular and special and really, you know, gorgeous, dazzling plant. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I know it's a bit more disorganized and a bit raw than, you know, some of my other episodes, but, you know, hopefully you guys liked it. If you guys did, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my other videos. That's it. Thank you so much for watching again, and until next time, happy planting.